Hey guys, welcome to RCA Exotics. This week I'm just going to talk about something that I was discussing on Facebook there today. And now I'm going to start by stating I am no expert. I do not consider myself an expert. I have been keeping reptiles for years and I've been keeping tarantulas a couple of years. I don't consider myself an expert. This is just my opinion now. But I'll start by saying that as exotic animal keepers, it is our responsibility to provide the best possible care for animals. And I have noticed with tarantulas especially that people tend to just provide them the bare minimum. And that particularly comes into effect with hydration. And it is a fact that tarantulas do get the majority of their hydration from their prey items like their crickets and whatever else you're feeding them. But they do still drink water. And this is a misconception in the hobby. So a lot of people do not provide water bowls. And a lot of species come from dry places, so they can go a long time without water. So not having a water bowl isn't that big an issue. But it is better to provide one than to not have one. That is my opinion. Again, it is not like, if you don't provide a water bowl, I'm not saying you're a bad keeper. But I think you're better off to provide one than to not. Again, now, the next thing is the substrate. Now, with a lot of New World, particularly New World terrestrial species, as slings, they tend to burrow. And as adults, they tend to spend a lot of time out in the open. Like example, like the Hamori, Brachypelma hamori. As slings, they tend to be, much more of a burrower. They tend to dig a little burrow, don't spend too much time out in the open. But as adults, they do spend all their time out in the open. Now, that means as an adult, a lot of the time, people only provide an inch or two of substrate and a hide, which, technically that's adequate for them. But it does mean if they ever want to burrow, they do not have the ability to do it. So I think you are, just again, to provide the best care, I think you are better off still as adults, even though they're most of the time not going to use the space that you've given them, provide the depth for them to dig a burrow if they want. So again, it was just a quick thing about that. I'm not saying anyone who keeps exotics, tarantulas, or anything like that is providing the necessary care, but only the necessary care. That I'm not saying you're a bad keeper. If your animal is healthy and alive, you're doing your job. But I believe that you should provide the best possible care rather than the bare minimum. So I would like to encourage any of my viewers anyway, if you are keeping exotics, to try and go above and beyond and provide stuff that your animal may never need, but could potentially need. Like AJ here, example, like he's not that big. He has a 4-foot enclosure to himself. That's massive for his size. A lot of people would have him in a little small enclosure and, I'm sure he'd be happy enough, but the extra space, like AJ spends most of his time sitting on one branch. But he's got a load in there. I'm not saying that makes me better than somebody who doesn't. I'm just saying I think you are better to provide the best available care to make your animal happy as well as just barely alive. Okay? So we'll move on to something more interesting now, and I'm going to announce that the Ireland Reptile Expo has been announced for this year for the 19th of July. So that's 19th of July 2020. I think it's 11 till 4, I think, if I'm correct. The doors are open. And AJ's trying to go for a run here. Where are you going, buddy? Trying to explore. And I also have one other thing to show you, but I'm going to have to put AJ away, and I'll be back in 1 second. So, this is what I wanted to show you. We have our first adult dead leaf mantis. This guy molted there during the week, and is now an adult, and this one is female. At least it's supposed to be female, I do need to actually double check, but we now have an adult dead leaf mantis. Really cool species, as you can see. Beautiful, and from behind have that really cool look to them. And the wings are kind of papery looking. Smaller species now than the African mantises, about maybe half the size. But very, very cool species. I'm delighted to now finally have an adult one. So that's all for this week anyway, guys. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification button. I upload every Sunday. So see you guys again next week. Bye!